Hey there folks, Elliot here, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite kinds of gadgets, which is fitness tech. In the past month or so, Garmin has released or re-released 3 new versions of their Viva line, which includes 2 smartwatches and a more simplistic wearable, which includes GPS tracking. Technically, they also released a 4th one, but that is designed for kids, and it includes Marvel and Star Wars print all over. Now, I don't know why they didn't include that on the adult versions, but hey, I'm not the one picking their designs. Either way, that's pretty cool. So, as you can see, this is the Vivosport. It is actually a really simplistic design. It's all in one. You can't remove the actual tracking component, and you can't remove the band. So, while that is a bit of a downside, this is incredibly simple, lightweight, and it includes GPS tracking, which, in my mind, is actually incredibly beneficial, whereas the other ones look like huge satellite dishes on your arm, and you can't really be wearing those on a regular basis. I mean, you can, they just look kind of ugly. So as far as design goes, this comes in 2 different sizes, small, medium, which fits weird tiny wrists like mine. And then there's also the more standard size, which is large. And then it comes in 4 different colors. So as I mentioned, obviously this is all in one unit. Whatever color you get, that's what you're going to have to stick with. As far as the sensors go, obviously the big one here is GPS tracking. It works incredibly well compared to the Apple Watch Series 2 and then the TomTom Adventure and some of the other Garmin wearables that I've recently used. The pickup and connection time to GPS can be a little bit slow, but once it's figured out where you are, and if you start and stop in similar positions, it tends to actually take almost no time to connect. So as far as that goes, it's just wonderful. It also includes some of the other basics, which are like an accelerometer and barometer, and then also a heart rate tracker. So building upon that, basically what you're going to get, again, with this very simplistic GPS tracker is not a giant satellite dish on your wrist, but it's also incredibly lightweight, so you won't really notice it's there for the most part. Depending on what size you get, it's anywhere from 24 to 27 grams, and then it includes a kind of strengthened glass face on here as well. It is touchscreen, however, it's not quite like you're going to have the same kind of touchscreen in a smartphone, so as you're touching it, pretty much with anything it will activate it. So that is a little bit of a downside. As I was using this, I very quickly noticed that it would just randomly start to vibrate in my wrist, and I was like, hey, what the hell is going on here? It's because it's not touch sensitive, it doesn't require a skin press on it. You can touch to any material and do that. So if it's on your wrist and you rest against something, it will activate the menu. Fortunately, for an activity to kick off or to go into any of the other settings, usually you have several different holds or touches on there. As far as tracking goes, you're going to get some of the more simplistic or basic athletic activities. So of course you get walking, running, cycling, and then some activities in the gym as well. There's also a stopwatch, so it'll sort of track it based on your heart rate. Speaking of heart rate, this will be able to track 5 different zones, and from that, and if you're training like I do, it'll actually have alerts on here, so it'll make sure that you're staying within your zone, or it'll start yelling at you. And trust me, it'll start yelling at you. As far as the battery life goes, it entirely depends how you use it and how much you use it. So if you're going to just do your standard GPS tracking, you're going to get about 8 hours of battery life out of it. However, if you're just using it for the sleep tracker, which actually works quite well, and then the standard step and basic features like a clock, you're going to get 7 days of battery life out of it. So between the two, as far as I've used it, it lasts about 2 to 3 days, and that'll include anywhere from like a 5 to an 8 mile run. However, I did actually test this on a recent Ragnar relay, which I can't even tell you how horrible those things are. You should never do them. They're actually fantastic. You might enjoy it. With that said, you're basically trapped in a van for 2 days. There's not a whole lot of opportunity for charging, and this actually lasted the entire time except for the tail end. After I finished my runs, it just kind of fizzled out. So I can't really blame it. There was about 16 miles worth of track in there, and then just standard use as well. So as far as battery life goes, I'd say this is fantastic. My Apple Watch died after probably about halfway through the entire thing, so on par, I'd say the battery life is fantastic. So would we recommend the Vivosport? Yeah, absolutely. Not only is it only $200, it has a minimal design, so you don't have a giant satellite dish on your wrist. The battery life is fantastic compared to many other devices, or it's on par with similar devices, or even on par with the devices that cost about $500. So would I recommend the Garmin Vivosport? Yeah, absolutely. Not only is it $200, it looks fantastic and not like a satellite dish on my wrist. It has a solid, if not probably top of the line battery life as far as GPS trackers go. And then on top of that, you get to tap into Garmin's app and software. As far as those go, Garmin's got pretty much the best tracking information that you're going to be able to get for people who are really truly training. And then of course it syncs up to Strava, so you get that as well. As far as tracking goes, you're going to get some of the more standard athletic activities on here, which are